I'm really almost done with this discussion, but Fred, I'm just out of curiosity, and Robin, Fred, who do you think is the most normal on the show?
Gary.
You do?
Yeah, I do.
And then who's second?
Second would probably...
Robin raising her hand. Now, everyone's telling me stories about you. There's no way you could be the most normal.
Wait a minute, what
On the surface, Robin appears very normal.
I am surface.
But you scratch that surface, and it gets real weird real fast.
Yeah. Because even my sister has heard us talk on the air and says, what do you mean Robin's not normal?
Thank you.
And I go, well, you don't know. I mean, on the air, she's delightful. But you really are. You are really actually...
I am delightful.
You're about 90% there, I think.
Robin's a
You could be real normal.
I am normal.
No.
No, I'm not. I wouldn't even deny it.
But it's nothing to be proud of.
I'm not proud. Who's working on themselves? Of all of us.
Yeah, you are.
The rest of you are sitting in it.
The rest of us have really changed very little.
No, I was just going to say, Robin had a friend that she was friends with for a couple of years, and this person smoked the whole time that she knew her.
Right.
And they went away one weekend, and then Robin decided that because that person smoked, she was never going to be friends with them again.
Not true.
And has never spoken to them since.
Not true.
Is that really true?
No,
It's
not
so
true.
true.
It is not true, Gary.
Then what's
I don't
true?
know the story, and I believe it.
Right.
That person has never been able to get you on the phone ever again.
That person said something very strange to me.
So you
and
never told me that.
Like, give me a
you
light
told me that. You told me the reason
See
was.
there?
But why would you hold back that information?
Maybe it was
All the-
private information.
I was making up a story.
No,
She was
the
trying to
story
add
she
to
ma-
her...
The story she's making up is that the woman said something. Trust me.
I'm
Really?
telling you the
She
truth. The
sat me
woman
down
said
one day and
something.
explained to me. She goes, you know, Gary, we were there, and the smoke disgusted me so bad that I just could never look at her again.
Really?
You said those words to me, Robin.
Well, I must have been. That must have been right after the.
That might have been before you changed.
No.
was
I
way before
know
she changed.
exactly why I don't talk to this. But I know who he's talking about, and I know exactly why I don't talk to her, and it has nothing to do with her smoking.
I see. In other words, but it is weird that you'd make up a story to Gary.
Well, that was right after we came back from that trip, and I
BabaBooey.
was disgusted.
Oh, I see.
But I didn't stop talking to her because of that.
Something else happened.
I started to stop talking to her.
It was a huge influence, Robin.
Well, it didn't help.
So did Fred finish his list?
No.
No, I didn't finish.
He
All right,
got
go
to the
ahead.
first person, and then.
I said Gary was the most normal.
Right. And then I'm the next and the most normal.
No,
Let
you're
him
not.
do it.
No, I am letting him do it. What am I? I'm not influencing him. He doesn't get influenced by me. Go ahead, yeah?
Then it would be Howard.
Right.
No. Fall into pressure.
Fred, am I not? No, seriously, Fred, seriously, be honest. Who do you think is next the most normal on the show?
Next most normal, I would say it was you.
Thank you.
No,
I know he
'cause
thinks
I'm
that. I know he
95%
believes it.
there. I know you're not 95%.
I am a lot more normal than you, Robin.
You are not.
Go ahead, Fred. Next.
Then Robin.
Really?
Yeah.
Robin.
You spice back your day, boy. You don't like those Mars jokes.
Go ahead.
And then Jackie.
What? You think Jackie's stranger?
I think Jackie is much stranger than he appears. You get a belt in him or two, boy.
And you get a mouthful.
You're definitely
Well,
you're definitely in the swamps.
I know what Fred is really weirded out by Jackie's sexual history, those stories that Fred and I were discussing the other
I
day. how
tell you, anybody that's going to sit there and hang his butt out a window and do
Oh,
something.
gee, I think that's
See, he thinks that's weird.
Right,
as
he's
opposed
weirded
to
out.
I don't
I
think
think
that's
that
normal,
bothers
but
Fred.
I don't think that's abnormal either.
No, I think
Okay,
Jackie's
then
very
there you
loose
go.
about his body, and he's a free thinking. I don't see that as
Okay,
weird.
well,
I'll admit, in that
What I think is
then
weird
that's a
about
different
Jackie
thing.
is the belligerence and sort of the frustrations that he sometimes experiences. But I think a lot of that has left him.
I think it's his lack. He doesn't have a real clear logic about things.
Yeah, and he also he's a poor judge of character. But I would just say those are flaws as opposed to being weird.
just sitting here shows what a poor judge of character I am.
What a nice compliment I just gave you.
Well, if I would search through that sentence again and look for the compliment.
But Jackie, after
No, but I
years
can
on the
see-
road in comedy and stuff, he had a lot of anger in him. But I think now that he's having some success in his life and some order in his
calmed
life,
down some.
he's really actually become a lot more pleasant.
But I'm sure a lot of people like Fred would think.
I might have called you the most weird on the show 5 years ago.
But see, it's weird is a whole different thing.
But Fred is not
talking
seeing it.
about sex.
But that's
or
Fred's
talking about-
inability to, Fred's in and out of reality. That's why he's the most weird on the show. He doesn't realize that what you're doing is perfectly acceptable.
in some stupid terms.
Yes. But that's not Fred's fault. He's a product of his upbringing.
And I once again submit that you are the product of yours. Gorilla was just telling me stories about you. While you were getting stories about me,
Yeah.
I was getting stories about you.
Hey, Gorilla better keep his little mouth shut. Because I'm sure there's a bunch of stories on Gorilla I can find out pretty
Robin,
easily.
what about his germ thing? Secondly,
Yeah. BabaBooey with a
my
bad analogy.
support of the hypochondria
BabaBooey.
argument.
Yeah.
Do you or do you not?
I don't want to talk about this.
Oh.
Robin's moving on.
Go ahead.
Gary's main worry in life is getting good seats for a free screening, and he's telling me about pressure.
BabaBooey.
Do you or do you not almost lose your voice before every birthday show?
No.
Yes.
Last birthday show, play the tape. Did I lose my voice?
Howard, you're a mess. And every time we used to start at a new market, you would lose your voice.
That is not
When
true.
I met you in Washington, D.C., could you speak? No.
Let me tell you something. To now knock down that argument,
Oh.
when I was in Detroit doing radio,
Yes.
when I met you,
Uh-huh.
this is before I went on in a new market.
Right.
For the last 7 months, for the 7 months I was in Detroit, I had a tremendous vocal problem. It was a case of eating the wrong foods, and I was getting sore throats every weekend to the point that I was diagnosed that I would die in a few years. Now, let me tell you, and I had pneumonia.
Die in a few years?
And I had a pneumonia every other weekend. Now, when you met me, my voice was ravaged, and I didn't know how to cure it. I was on a steroid. I thought that drugs were the answer. They were not. It was improving my diet. So to answer your charge about me losing my voice, so to speak, when you met me in Washington, it was under an unfortunate circumstance. All right, that's enough about
Now,
me.
what about New York?
Had a cold.
Oh.
In New York, anybody would have lost their voice. No one could have withstood that pressure. But I am a rational man.
But okay, I was going to say something.
Rational.
That's an irrational thing to
No,
get
it's
sick
not.
for no good reason.
I'm gonna
No, I was sick for very good reason.
I'm going to get yelled at for this and get thrown out, so this is my parting shot.
right.
Because I know you're going to scream at me for this. Last week, you had back trouble, which
ahead.
I don't believe was hypochondria. I believe was.
I had a shoulder injury.
I believe that you had genuine trouble.
Yes.
Every single person here has had back trouble before, and we know it is definitely painful.
Yes.
But you were laying on the floor screaming at the top of your lungs. It was, I mean, you would go to your back office and you would get on the floor and just go, oh. And then every time we tried to get anything done, I would say, okay, I don't want to bother you. No, go ahead, go ahead.
You know, you're an imbecile. I'm going to tell you why you're an idiot. I'm going to tell you why you're as dumb as a wall. This is the guy, he took over one time for me to do best of. He had to read off a card. He walked off the air. He was like this. Oh, boss, I got to go home. I got to go relax. I got to go BabaBooey.
What on earth are you talking about?
You know
You
exactly.
made that up?
I can't sit at the office. I got to go
BabaBooey.
home because if I do the show in the morning, I'm completely wiped out. I can't do both things at the same time. All you had to do is read off the cards. You don't even know what it's like to be on the air
I don't
for 5
understand
hours.
the comparison.
The comparison is simple. I was experiencing tremendous back
But Robin's
trouble.
on the air for 5
But
hours,
see-
and I've seen her with tremendous back trouble or other pains.
Yeah.
And not.
But how do you know her back trouble was as bad as what I was going
don't.
through? You don't.
Well,
you can't,
you know
you
that I
can't
would
evaluate.
never do that because I don't complain like
No,
you.
you go right home after the show when you don't feel good, and you go
Sometimes,
relax.
sometimes
I have to
not.
sit here and write the show.
Sometimes and sometimes not. How
I see.
dare you
Yeah.
say that?
What I am saying is I had to be here after the show with my back trouble.
Right, moaning like you got a lot of work out.
And I went back and laid down on the floor and tried to stretch my back out a little bit. And this imbecile, he's like, we got to get work done. Excuse me, I'm dying here. What an idiot. You're an idiot. You know, you're right. You should leave. Why don't you leave the room? You're so stupid. Hey, Bolf, why can't we go on? I'm feeling fine. What
I
an
offered
idiot.
to leave several times.
I'm the guy. If I ever miss a day
All
at work,
we have said about me is
do I
that
ever miss a day
have-
at work?
No.
I could get through a show if they put pins in my feet.
All they have said about me is that I have a bad temper. Look at
No,
all the
you don't.
things
You have an
said about me.
irrational temper,
It's
Robin.
it's irrational. It's
It's
bad.
not even a rational thought process when you get
I know,
irrational.
You're absolutely right, but there's
You are
one
weird.
thing. One
Yeah.
thing that you
Right.
got on me.
It's a major, major
It's a major
thing.
flaw.
Oh,
It's
shut
a
up,
major
all of you.
flaw.
It comes up 20, 50 times a day.
That's not true. Now stop lying.
No, I'm not saying your flaw does, but your judgment does. And sometimes.
Excuse
And
me?
it's erratic.
Excuse me.
BabaBooey.
Well, this is the only show that evaluates itself. For the last hour, we've been involved in a therapy session where everyone has picked apart the other person.
That's true.
Robin, you didn't give your list.
I will
but
give you my list very
after the
quickly.
word, after these commercials, right after these.
You're listening to a man who could cure cancer. He just doesn't feel like it. Howard Stern.
Well, it's another edition of the Best of Stern. I'm Dia Stein, and the discussion just goes on and on. Here's more as Howard and the gang discuss who's weird and who is normal on the show. It's the Best of Stern.
Robin, you came in during the commercial, and
I have now figured it all out.
no, that was misguided, and I'll tell you why.
Why?
Robin came in and said, you know how you figure out who's the most normal on the show? You figure out who would blend in. If we put everyone out on the street, who would blend in with the crowd?
If you just put them in a bunch of strangers.
That's you saying you're going by appearance.
Not appearance.
Yes.
Who would have no trouble starting up a conversation,
No, but
making himself comfortable.
That doesn't mean that
Wouldn't have
person's
any
normal.
quirky things that would make the people look at them strangely, like they can't drink and they got to have a certain type of food.
It's only one aspect of a person, though, but it's a good idea, but it's only
All right,
one
give us
aspect.
your list. Go ahead,
All right.
based on whatever you want to base it on. Who
I'll
cares?
base it on
Just
this.
give me the list. Who's the weirdest guy on the show?
The weirdest guy on the show
it
is you.
No.
You.
Ah, come
You would
on.
have the most trouble in that situation.
No,
you
that's
cannot
not
be
true.
alone. Your wife socializes
I can't
for
be
you when you
alone.
can't
All I am
find-
is alone.
No. If you go out into a crowd, you have your wife with you or one of us because you need that help socializing. Unless it's
True.
a business situation with which you will then overcome this little quirk.
I know I'm more normal than all of you.
Excuse me, I'm
know it.
not finished. You have.
You could not handle.
You have no sense of direction. You can't find your way anywhere.
Why is that? That's just a sign of intelligence. I'm just stupid. That's not a sign of being
Howard,
quirky.
This has something to do with your brain function.
But that's what makes me the performer I am. I can't befuddle myself.
Look, if we're not talking
You want to know why I'm the most
your
normal on the
level of
show?
performance.
Well, hold it. You want to know why I'm the most
Excuse me,
normal
I'm
on the
not
show?
finished.
I know you're not. I'm
I'm not
interrupting you.
finished.
I'm sorry. You have to be interrupted. The reason I'm the most normal on the show is the reason I am a successful radio performer is because I can relate to the average guy.
No, you can think like him. You can't relate to him.
All right, so let's say I'm the weirdest on the show. Okay, I'll accept that. Who's the second weirdest?
Second weirdest is probably
No, Fred.
Probably.
You're having a
I
tough
might
time.
be with Fred. We're a toss-up.
You and Fred are a toss-up. All right.
Who said that?
All right, I'll go with that.
Then, the next most normal person.
Boy, I got evaluated to death. You and Fred we just passed right over you. All right, but that's okay.
I'm just thinking again of my theory about who Freddie wouldn't have any better time blending in with a group of people than I would.
Blending in, they would stone him to death. It would be like Frankenstein. They would throw rocks at him.
People like him, but everybody says Fred's weird.
Yeah, there's no question Fred's the weirdest one.
You can't pass over the fact that Fred is totally uncomfortable with even the thought of having any of us who have got to be somewhat friends, if not close friends, ever to the place where he lives.
Oh, not to mention the fact that we set him up with his girlfriend. You think the girlfriend would even get us into his apartment, and the girlfriend can't even get through to Fred on this.
That is very.
And the girlfriend has actually made Fred appear more normal. She's
Yes,
dressed him up. She's given him.
absolutely.
He goes on vacations. But if she dumped him,
Fred would go right back.
Right back to being Fred.
I understand why he doesn't want us there, because he knows if we come there, we're
We'll
going to
talk
look for
about
something to talk about. But that's the
in
show.
fact,
We all
the
go to
only
each other's
reason
houses.
Fred is now acting, which seems like, wow, Fred's really branching out,
No.
it's because the girlfriend is acting and getting into these
But
acting
it's
classes.
easy for him because he doesn't have to be himself, too.
Well,
Yes.
yes, absolutely. But even more so, if the girlfriend didn't lead him to the acting class to get him
Right.
involved in that whole community, Fred would just sit in his apartment. He wouldn't go out and do
Absolutely.
this stuff.
But
You're
Fred,
absolutely right.
Fred is
I'll go up
really
and act
good.
myself. No,
Fred is really good in social situations in front of
Yeah.
strangers, except it's not
But
Fred.
the strangers
Right.
would still say there's something weird.
I used to tell Fred when I first met him, because Fred was having trouble like going to a bank and even learning how to open a bank account. I said, Fred, you know how you act like a lawyer? Go pretend to be a lawyer.
There you go.
Put on your lawyer voice, because on the show he would pretend to be a lawyer and it would be good. Put on your lawyer voice and go to the bank and ask questions like you do. And then he would do that. So you can program Fred and send him out and do
so
stuff.
now you convinced me Fred is the next after you.
Oh, come
I'm
on,
third.
Robin. You know what? You're trying to be shocking here, but
I'm
you know
not
Fred
being
is so much
shocking.
more abnormal than me.
I'm not-
I at
I'm
least
just
created a
saying,
life for myself.
In terms of blending into a group of strangers, Fred could pretend to do that better than you.
could.
Yes.
For
I
a
could.
short period of time.
Fred is on another planet. And I don't mean it in a malicious way, Fred. I love you.
mean any of this in a
Fred, I'm a
malicious
big
way.
Fred fan.
I'm not
Hardly.
being
Who is a bigger Fred fan than me?
me.
So, I mean, I don't mean it maliciously, but I mean, Fred
sure
is.
you do.
Hey, no one has
Get
even
off.
brought up. No one has even brought up the fact that when Fred telephone calls you, if you finally get him to call you, he will stay on that phone for hours unless you end the conversation.
Well, that has changed.
Oh, really?
Fred won't call you.
No, Fred. I talked to Fred now, and he doesn't really stay on with you long
You
at
know
all.
why? Because now he has those sort of mental patient phone conversations with his girlfriend. I see him back there. He disappears. Does he not? Is it not weird that he disappears for over
Oh, yeah.
45 minutes every day after the show?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
you can't
it's
find
real
Fred.
weird.
Even if there's a rush, he still insists on putting away things, even though we can get interns to do it. He has
That
his
is
routine.
true.
Come on, Fred's the weirdest guy
All
in
right,
this show.
all right.
Come on.
All right,
you're so
Fred
full of
is
it.
the
Come on.
weirdest.
You're so full of it.
You're
Thank you.
next.
You're
I mean,
so full.
You're
fine,
right after-
fine, but if I
what
just
is this?
resent being called the weirdest guy on the show and Fred sitting
You
here.
are the weirdest guy.
No,
No,
Robin
he's
even
right,
said,
Fred.
Fred,
He's
you
right,
are the
Fred.
Fred, I
Wait a
wasn't going to
minute.
bring this up.
Wait a
I wasn't
minute.
going to bring any of this
Wait a
up.
minute.
I think think
I'm
all
not
three of
kissing
you
his
just
ass.
tied. That's what I
No,
think.
no, no.
I don't think, but
I wasn't
Freddie-
going to disparage Fred on the air, but I had to in my own defense.
Freddie, you know how it is. If
Gary.
we call a meeting, we can't get you there.
Oh,
That's
and
such a lie, Rob.
And then,
Oh.
Why
how
are you
about
lying?
how about when we did the TV show at Channel 9? Fred wouldn't even talk in the meeting. Then directly after the meeting, he'd come up to me and say, "Oh, you know what would be a good idea?"
Yeah. Oh, and Fred's bag. We
Because
didn't
I
even
get
think about
tired
the
of
bag.
screaming over everybody.
You know what? If this was the Fred Norris show,
Yeah.
like the way it's a Howard Stern show.
Yeah.
In other words, you have some weirdness, but you talk about a lot of it on the air. So
Right.
I sort of understand some of it.
Right.
Fred is an enigma. There's
Right.
a lot of things about him that I don't understand, and that's why.
Well,
he
ask him now. Now's the time to
The
ask.
Fred Norris show would be over at 6:01.
Yeah, right. That'd be a problem.
And
No,
it was
Fred
the
is the
Jackie
weirdest
Marling
guy.
show before
Robin,
I was
please.
All right,
plugged.
Fred is the weirdest.
I resent being called the weirdest guy in the show.
But you
Fred,
are.
you're
I'm not.
very weird,
You
but
are.
You
Fred
just
is
why
weird.
your list was not.
You wouldn't. You.
Because
What are you talking
because you're
about?
being mean.
No.
Because you are being
You gave a
mean.
list. You
You
gave
already
a list.
gave your list, and
No,
he
no.
wasn't even on
I
it.
was. You said I was
being
almost.
nice.
I
You
was
wanna
more
know
normal than
something?
Gary.
I was being nice.
No, you weren't. You
I
were
was
telling the
being
truth.
nice.
I'm a
No,
normal guy.
I lied. I lied. Like
There's something wrong
Fred's
with you.
changing his list.
I
Yeah.
definitely am.
No, you're
changing
not.
my list.
Hey, you get. Hey, I'm turning off
Hey.
your microphone. You can't give a new list. That's all. He just ripped his microphone out. He's unplugging it in.
And you know, you got to remember,
What are you doing?
we always say it, and everybody knows it. Fred fights like a mental patient.
Yeah.
Get his mic off the stand.
Yeah, he's crazy. You're crazy. You're loony. Well, wait till Chiasano sees
Boy,
that.
is he acting out now?
Fred just took his microphone and threw it in the garbage.
You can't break equipment like that.
Fred, you just broke his microphone.
No, I don't think so.
You better plug it back in and see if it works.
No, I won't.
Because then I got to go defend you like I do every once in a while.
I don't need you to defend me.
Oh,
Oh,
sure
yeah, you
do.
know when Fred starts yelling at people
Yeah.
inappropriately.
Can I ask a question?
Like
Yeah.
the managers.
Can I ask a
I
question?
never
now?
yell at a boss, Fred.
About 5 minutes ago, were we having fun?
Yeah, now it turned ugly.
It really did.
No, because Robin was trying to be shocking and say I'm the most weird.
I was.
You forgot how weird Fred is.
I did. Why didn't you ever point this out
I'm
early?
sorry. I didn't want to. I thought you would just say he was weird and leave it at that. No, Fred's strange. How about like when I mean, listen. How about when Fred stayed at my apartment and wouldn't leave?
Wouldn't leave.
How about when Fred with the hot dogs?
Yeah, and
What's
when
a
his
hot dog?
apartment was
You know
broken
that.
into.
No.
Fred, there was a blizzard. Fred was over my apartment. So we went shopping so Fred could eat dinner over. So my wife decided we'll have fish for dinner. So Fred doesn't eat fish, but he wouldn't tell us. And all of a sudden, I don't know how, but we Fred was twitching or something. And we said, Fred, are you all right? He goes, yeah. I go, do you want to have fish? Yeah. I go, Fred, do you want hot dogs for dinner? He's just quirky. He's quirky. He's odd. He's odd.
I'll admit that.
All right. He's the weirdest on the show.
I didn't get that. So what'd you do? So you had to make him hot dogs?
You had to
'cause he
make him
didn't
hot
eat-
dogs.
No, it was a whole thing, and then he was going to eat the fish anyway. I said, Fred, it's no big deal. You don't have to eat fish. You can have whatever you want. I'll buy you whatever you want for dinner. No. I mean,
And if you hadn't taken Fred home, Fred was going to try to make it to Connecticut in a blizzard.
Yeah. I mean, talk about weird.
Fred's getting upset.
And the cookie puss, we could go on for days.
Cookie puss for his mother?
Yeah. Well,
For
it
Mother's
started
Day?
off as a joke. It turned into an ugly mess. And I'm weird, but maybe I'm weird, but you're mean.
Oh, come
Freddie.
on. Fred, I had to defend myself.
Look at what
Oh,
they
you're
said
so
about
full
me
of it.
today.
Oh, Robin, that's nothing.
Oh.
Can I ask Fred a question? You said
Yeah.
I gotta, and this isn't mean or anything. Will you ever have us to your apartment?
No.
Gee, Fred, that hurts.
Yeah, I can tell you're hurt. The way you talk about me around there.
See, you're proving you're the weirdest guy in the show. I knew it. I knew you'd
come
crack.
on.
I knew you'd
If
crack.
someone said to you
Yeah.
that you were weird and
They did.
everybody...
We've said it to each
Oh,
one
come
of us.
on.
You guys revealed I sleep
Yeah,
in
but
my
you know,
clothes,
so
not to
all
mention...
you all unite, you know what
To
I'm
mention my
saying?
soiled underpants are still on from last night.
Please.
From my night of fun.
Please.
I had a wild night last night.
Please.
I was with a lot of girls.
Well, this night of the year.
I was with Looney and Zarina, Queen of Dreams last
So
night.
now even you're willing to admit that it's kind of wacky that you do all that sleep and then come to work.
Yep. Yep. I sleep in my clothes. I have fun. I have sex in my clothes, and then I come to work.
And I bet you he never changes.
But I never
It
smell.
always looks like the same outfit
I
to me.
never smell. I
It
always-
always looks like the same
because I have
outfit.
13th pair of these
lie.
sweatpants.
You know you
Call my
don't.
wife and ask her.
You don't.
Liar. I have 13 pair of
He
black
probably has
sweatpants.
one pair of underpants.
I wash up and I change them every day. You wait and see this.
But anyway, so Freddie's the weirdest.
Freddie? Yeah.
You're
That's your-
second.
Yeah.
I'm third.
Well, that's wrong, but go ahead. I can prove you're the weirdest. In
go
fact,
ahead.
I might even
Go
be able to
ahead.
prove that you're weirder than Fred.
Go ahead.
No, I don't want to get
Go
into
ahead.
it.
Oh,
Because Fred has a relationship,
Yeah.
weird
Yeah.
or not weird.
Yeah.
He has a relationship which is, I think that's
All right, so I'm the second weirdest. You're third.
No,
and who's
go ahead, Jackie. What? I want to hear this.
No,
No, you don't. You want to hear commercial.
Oh, I do?
Yes, you do. Chiasano wants to come in and give his view on it.
Is that right?
Tom Chiasano, our
He
general
thinks
manager.
he has an objective opinion from the
Because
outside
I kept saying,
world.
you got to come
Yeah.
in and defend me, Tom.
Well, Tom's definitely on the outside world. He's certainly outside of this show. He's on the wrong side of this show right now. We'll be
Well,
back.
that is an objective opinion. Would you consider Tom a normal guy?
I'll bet you. You want to bet money?
All right.
I'll bet any one of you that Tom thinks I'm the most normal guy on this show.
I'll bet you.
I disagree.
I bet you don't.
What?
I disagree. I'll bet you
how
he
much?
thinks Robin is the most normal one.
No, he won't.
Oh, he absolutely does.
No, he
Oh,
doesn't.
Tom and I have a wonderful relationship.
Exactly.
What
Well,
are
then you're putting on a real good show for him.
Exactly. Yeah, she's doing a great show.
All right, let's see what happens when he comes back. We'll be back right after these words.
You're listening to The Howard Stern Show.
And it's the best of Stern. I'm Dia Stein, and let's get right back to the discussion. Howard and the gang figuring out who's normal and who's not normal on the best of Stern.
I just got Gorilla's list of who is the most
Let him
normal
come in
on
and
the
tell
show.
us. Let everyone come in and tell us.
Yeah,
I'm enjoying this
because
conversation.
you should be evaluated by someone outside of this organization.
Jackie, the Penthouse joke page Martling this Saturday. And tell Chiasano to come in too, Gary. You know, by the way, while you make your evaluation, Mr. Chiasano and Gorilla and everyone else, you know, when Jackie was out of the room, we started talking about some of Jackie's abnormalities.
Yeah.
Like one of his big abnormalities is that as successful as things are going for him and all this, refuses to get a manager. Like that's a weird
Right,
thing.
yeah.
And in other words, he's got his wife doing it.
No,
But I
Or
believe...
he does it himself.
Which makes, and even Tom, as your general manager, doesn't that cause a lot of ill feelings between like you and Jackie because you don't have like a third party to deal with and Jackie becomes the runt, if you will?
We've always handled it, but it certainly has caused some friction.
Right.
in the past,
In the past, absolutely.
not for 3 years or
Not for 3 years.
You must have a 3-year contract. That's the only thing I can figure out.
I saw Jackie at the typewriter only yesterday.
Oh, was that right? Were you there yesterday,
No,
Jackie? Jackie preparing for his next negotiation. And I said, I believe, this is when Jackie was out of the room, I believe it's because Jackie is so cheap that
Yes.
he can't part with
Oh,
that
yeah,
10%.
that's the 10%.
You know, that's the thing that seriously annoys me the most.
That you
about
don't know
this
you're
entire
cheap.
show. Yeah.
You
Because
really think you're generous?
Everybody I know in the world says they can't believe that you try to paint me as cheap because nobody in the world believes that I'm cheap.
See, that's the one thing he doesn't see in himself. Fred, help me out here.
What?
Jackie, what were we talking about the other day, how cheap he is?
Oh, about what was it? Well, he was paying lunch or something like that.
I don't know
Like
what
the
it
first
was.
time I think he ever pulled out $1.
Yeah, and I don't know. He doesn't see himself as
Look at
cheap.
that. When was the last time you bought? I used to take the guys to the Friars and stuff back when Fred was talking to me. But how
Right.
often in 7
when I
years
was
you've
real
never
weird.
bought lunch?
Well, okay, I'll give you an
I
idea.
never bought
he has us up to his
breakfast.
house.
No, hold it a second.
Stop it.
No, hold it a second.
No, I'm just saying. You
I give
accuse me
people-
of things that
Jackie,
nobody else does
First
either.
of all, the only reason you take people to lunch is because at the Friars Club you have a minimum that you have to meet in
but
order to spend.
I belong to a club
it.
where I put
Secondly-
myself in that position,
Secondly,
which
and-
means
and-
that I'm willing to spend that much on
you
my
put
friends.
yourself in that position because you're hoping to make show business contacts. Unfortunately, one of the
Okay.
side effects is you've got to spend the minimum amount of money on food.
See, now you can call
so
that.
you do it anyway, or else they would charge you anyway. That's the only reason you take people out to lunch.
That's
Secondly,
totally,
I give people cash.
totally faulty logic.
I'll tell you something. What was the thing that somebody did for Jackie, and Jackie finally, after a week, gave them some money? He paid them some money, and it was like $20. Was that you, Gorilla? Did you get the $20? What did you have to do for that $20? Tell everybody.
It was last Christmas.
Right.
When you guys were on vacation.
Go ahead.
I had to just make
Vacation.
sure. I had to make sure Maria Melito got his plug every day.
Right. He called you up on vacation, and
He didn't even call. He left copies, and
Right.
Jackie said it was like my first time actually working here. And Jackie said, "Listen, it's your job to make sure she reads the plug."
Right.
And just for like the 2 weeks, I made sure Maria read the plug.
Now, Gorilla didn't expect anything, but
Right.
Jackie figured, hey, I'll give him a gratuity. Gives the kid $20.
For doing
I mean,
what though?
but-
I think
no.
that was fantastic.
No, I know you did, but the
you
whole
thought that was
yeah, a little,
mean?
it was too little.
And-
The buzz around the station was that you'd really just skimped out. You cheaped out.
And I have to admit, that's another.
But all
reason
right,
why-
listen, that's okay. Listen, you've had a lot of tough breaks, and you're holding on to every penny. I understand. And you can't even believe your good fortune. But Tom, give me your list of who is the most.
The wackiest.
All right, start from the wackiest and then work your way back. Who is the
Who's the
most?
strangest
here's how I
person in
find-
the team?
Who is the
As
strangest
I was
person?
listening to this thing,
And you happen to believe Fred is strange. I know that. I know that.
Who couldn't?
I know that you do.
well, this is an interesting group anyway.
Right. All right, you consider
But
yourself an outsider in a sense. You get to observe us every day. You know Robin, you know Fred, you know Jackie, you know
Right.
Gary, and you know me.
Right.
Out of those 5 individuals, who is the wackiest.
Don't look at Howard while you're here.
No.
No, wait.
Don't look at me.
There's no problem. There's no problem.
Jackie, stop trying to influence him.
No, because I mean,
There is no problem. It's me. I'm the most.
As I was trying to think about it, I was thinking of who is the easiest to communicate with.
Go ahead.
And bizarre as it may sound, what you said before is true. I think I
What?
have the easiest time communicating with Howard.
Thank you.
And excuse me?
I told you Tom would say I was the most normal.
Just get out now,
Why don't you go
Tom.
spend some time
Jackie.
thinking about this, Tom?
Come on. All right, I am the most normal on the show.
No, I didn't say the most normal. I said I commute. I have
All right,
the
so who, Tom,
You have a hard time communicating with me, Tom?
No.
He's doing
Oh no, I didn't say that.
who is the most normal on the show?
I can't believe
Most.
Howard.
Please, Howard.
Gary's probably the most normal.
Okay, all right. Okay, fine. Okay, I'll give him that. All right, go ahead. Next is me.
Please.
Next is who?
Um,
Tom, be honest. I'm the most rational
wait.
of the
No,
group.
Are you
excuse
lobbying
me,
here?
Howard.
And he knows, and Tom admires me.
Well, that's okay. That has nothing to do with whether you're normal or not.
Although when I rant and rave about other radio people in his office, maybe he gets the wrong impression
Yeah, I
of
can
it.
point out some things to you, Tom.
No.
All right, go ahead. Let me keep quiet. All right, let's not bring up any more.
Okay,
ill
I would
feelings.
say Gary, Howard, Robin, Fred, Jackie.
That's a surprise.
Not really. I've heard Tom's discourse on Jack.
No.
And it has nothing to do with.
It has nothing, listen, I get along with everybody. So
Right.
I mean, this is not
anymore.
Not anymore.
I'm really
sorry.
disappointed. I've been working on Tom.
what really
That's
threw me
as
off,
good as I
Jackie, was-
did.
Robin, that's a lot better than you deserved.
What really threw me off, Jackie, was looking at the finger cuts. I'm sorry.
Janji, who's the most normal on the
I
show?
gotta go.
The most normal?
Yeah.
Jackie.
You think Jackie?
Yeah, definitely.
You're the complete opposite of Tom.
I think definitely Jackie.
Who's next?
Gary.
Why? Because Gary goes out at night? I can't go out at night.
Seems like a very normal person.
But why does Jackie seem more normal than me? Now I'm curious.
Yeah.
Because Jackie can blend in, I think.
Oh, that's your
With
stupid
any-
theory. You're a
Yeah,
dumb
he's
fat
a
guy.
Linden theory.
I don't know. I think he.
All right, get out of here. Who even cares about your opinion? You're not even funny
But you're the
anymore.
weirdest.
Oh, I am?
Yeah.
Why?
You have more quirks than anybody I've ever seen.
Let
You
me
don't know
tell
the
what
pressures. You know, young man, as you
you
start
don't
out in life,
You probably
you're a kid who grew up in your father's house. Your father's a millionaire,
What's that
and you
got
don't
to do
even
with
know what you do.
anything?
You know what? You're to me is the weirdest guy in the show. You know why?
Why?
You're out of college now, 3 years, and you still have no motivation to get a job.
He
I get out
graduated
of
this
college.
year.
How long have you been an intern here? How long?
2 years.
2 years.
I've been here.
And you've yet to. Now you want to be in radio, right?
Right.
And you first of all, you have no voice for radio.
Why
That's
are you
number
attacking
one.
him? You asked him a question.
Because I just realized who the weirdest guy in the show is. It's Ganji.
Having casual conversation with you, they are afraid they're going to say the wrong thing.
Well, that's because they're little turds who haven't experienced anything in life. You have no confidence in your abilities. You're
but
afraid.
you scare them.
They
and
are
they're
awed by
afraid
my
that they'll
awesome
never
abilities.
Be able to speak to
Admit
you
it.
again.
All of you guys who came here to work are big fans of the show.
No.
You're in awe. Oh, okay, sure. You're in awe of me. I'm the greatest radio personality that's ever lived. Name one that's greater. Name one that's accomplished more. You're young kids starting out. You're in awe of me.
So you could be a little magnanimous and take him under your wing.
Oh, I'm always
Not
nice to
scare
them.
him to death.
Yeah, I'll sit and babysit.
I didn't say you had to babysit.
You guys need babysitters. I'll throw you right out of here. I'm an emperor. You're dirt. That's all. Where do you get it? What are you talking about? Tell me what you told Robin.
For me, I just told Robin who I thought the order was.
No. But
you said
What I
something to
told-
me in there
What
about
did you
how
say?
you have to worry about everything that you say to Howard. At least you can talk to me. If you say something stupid in front of me, you can discuss it.
Yeah.
But if you say it to Howard, he goes to Gary and says, "Get that kid out of here."
Well, because who wants a weirdo running around? That's weird. You got a pervert running around. You want him in the office?
All right, well, the bottom line is we're all weird.
All right, we got to take a break. Gorilla, if you want to, I'll let you tell who you think is the weirdest, and then I got to move on. I've got a lot of show to do here, and I've completely wasted an hour and a half. We'll be back right after these words.
You're listening to a man who sees more naked breasts than an X-ray technician. Howard Stern.
Have differed with me. I knew that Tom Chiusano would find me one of the most normal guys on the show.
Well, you know, I'm now in agreement with you on your opinion of Tom's opinion most of the time.
Yeah.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah.
I think it's real interesting that the person by far that's getting the most upset by this whole thing is Fred, and this thing started because you guys accused me of getting upset because Fred was riding me too hard about something.
Right. Fred does get upset because he doesn't.
No, but isn't that how it started? Because
But you
he
know,
was
something
picking on
about
me
this
too
should
much.
tell you. Everyone else on the show finds you normal, including me. The one guy,
General manager.
the one guy who you negotiate with, do you understand? He finds you the oddest because you refuse to get a manager, which is precisely what makes you weird.
It's true.
Think about it. There's a lot of things going on here today, Rob.
Yeah, we're learning a lot.
Here's a great fact on why you're the most normal.
Howard is the most normal. 1, married over 15 years to the same woman. Number 2,
I could make an argument for that's why he's quirky.
has 2 normal children. 3, you like your parents. 4, your in-laws annoy you sometimes. 5, you watch TV a lot. 6, you fantasize about other women. 7, you have limited sex with your wife. It's true, it's an even keel, I understand. 8, you masturbate. 9, you come to work every day. And 10, you think Tom is a jerk. Well, there you go. That's
Was
it.
that signed by another miserable bastard?
Well, Gorilla, quickly, and then we have Richard Simmons stories to tell. I got to get to my phone
I
calls.
just got to say one more time. You know, the interns can't even tell you on the air
What they say.
what they say to me.
That's why they won't be great broadcasters. What did they
go back
say?
to
They came out to me again and they said, here's the deal, Robin.
So why can't they say it to me?
When we have to say something to Howard, we rehearse it. So we make
But
sure
why does that make
it's
me
the
weird?
right thing.
Yeah, because that doesn't make me weird. Why does that make me weird?
That people can't have a free and open exchange with you doesn't make you weird?
No, it's just that I am in a position
Oh, okay.
as the head of the show where they're nervous about it. They want to make an impression. A lot of them want to get jobs
I don't
with the
think
show.
that's it.
Oh, absolutely. Am I right, Gorilla? Isn't that, you wouldn't
that's
rehearse it if I was in Fred's position and it was the Fred Norris show. You'd rehearse what you say to Fred. That's
I would
all.
suggest rehearsing that anyway.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I rehearse what I say to Fred. Fred, I just would like to ask you if you could write a bit. Fred? No, I'll say it like this. Fred, what do you think about writing a bit? No. Okay. Fred, you want to stay and write a bit? Nah, I won't say it like that. Gorilla, who do you
It
think
just
is...
basically means it has nothing to do with whether they're
Of course it does.
looking for a job with you or
Well,
not.
let me ask you something. Did you say that to Robin in the hall?
I told
No,
Robin that.
Angie said that to me.
Well, why does it... Well, to let him explain it. Why would he rehearse what he says to me? He rehearses it because he's anxious to make an impression on me. Is that true?
No, because if
A
they
little
make a
bit.
bad impression on you, that's the end.
Right, because I don't want you having a bad image of me. I have to rehearse
course.
in my mind what I'm going to say to you because I know you have a limited, you like zone out if someone's talking to you and, you start not to pay attention.
Why? Because I don't want to hear nonsense?
Well, I guess that's why. So I have to rehearse what I'm going to say so to keep your attention for 2 seconds.
Well, let me tell you something. I'm doing you the biggest favor of your life because a lot of time is wasted words. And if you have a point to make, just make it so people don't get exhausted from you.
But can I say something? That's a quirk that you've managed to develop because you're Howard Stern. If you were just a normal guy, you would have to listen to everybody's junk.
That's
But because
not true.
Because you're in this big level, you are now allowed to cut people off and say, just get to it, get to it.
I
If you
never
were
cut anyone off.
If you were a...
Now shut up and let Gorilla
Howard.
go. All right, Gorilla, go ahead. Who do you think is the strangest person on the
Well,
show?
since I'm the newest one here, I guess for me it's a tie between you and Fred. Because
But disassociate yourself from what's on air. Talk about what you see off air. What do you observe off air?
that's what I
Talking
get.
about.
I think I am so normal to you kids.
The weird thing for me is
The
how-
weird thing for me is...
The weird thing for me is, and what I've been able to observe off the air and on the air.
We rehearse before we...
We rehearse everything we say before we get on the air. Genji plays you, and then sometimes we switch.
I got to be there for these rehearsals.
No, for me is the way how weirded out sometimes you get about things. Like when you were taping Baba Fiesta and you were
Yes.
on the elephant.
Yeah.
You got very weirded out because
Right.
I guess maybe it's
It was a
how
very
high
strange taping.
how high the elephant was. The thing is you had clearance, but still you were still worried about.
I didn't want to hurt
falling off.
myself.
I know.
Well, you do have this thing, Howard.
First of all, I'm a very tall guy. You got to understand something. None of you
Yeah.
can understand this.
Oh.
It's because I'm the most observed person on the show. Everyone will admit that. Everyone is busy
This has
psychoanalyzing
nothing,
me.
Howard, if you were alone with that elephant, you'd have the same problem.
Let me tell you something. I am a very tall guy. As a result, I have had to slow down in my life and observe everything, even where I step. Because when you're this tall, you're like a giraffe. You can't see anything.
Tell the truth and say that you have an incredible fear of heights.
Wrong. Who got up 30 feet on MTV? You wouldn't have done
Who
it.
cried before they did that?
Well, those were tears of love for all of you guys. Robin, if you had been up there, you would have made in your pants.
I had to force you to get up there.
Yeah, it was easy to do that. I would have forced you to get up there. All right, who is the weirdest person on the show? Me?
You and Fred have to be
And why?
definitely tied. I think, well, Fred, because he can kid around, but you can't kid around with Fred. Because the second something like that happens, Fred, boom, he gets pissed.
No.
Like when you got on Fred about the bag,
Right.
when you look in his bag, Fred's going, don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah.
And you're like, what? Well, what are you going to do? Well, I'll just do something, but don't do it. You know,
He won't do anything. I know him.
Very
He's
standoffish
he
about
bluffs.
anything when you go to talk to him.
He's not going to do a thing. He's got the world's greatest job.
And I just like, I don't know, Freddie's just weird because it's not weird doing this, but he keeps to himself totally. He's like in his own little shell and doesn't let anybody
There you're right.
in.
Fred is the weirdest
Especially
guy in the show.
considering, you know, you've been with him such a long time and you two, you know, are pretty close.
We're not at all. I am not close at all with him.
We're not close.
He doesn't allow me into his inner circle.
Okay, so I was wrong with that.
The inner circle is in his head. And that's all locked up.
Nobody can get it.
I'm not close with Fred. I would like to be. I mean, I feel a certain
you
kinship
wouldn't.
with him. I'm a
No,
big
you
fan of
wouldn't.
Fred
No, you wouldn't.
and his work.
No, you
And no one has lobbied harder for Fred. I negotiated with the horrible Goff LaBar to get Fred alongside of me. I mean, nobody would do that. I would rather stay out of Goff LaBar's office and have no Fred. So, you know, listen, nobody's a bigger fan, but Fred is, you're right. He is close to insane.
And you want to know
Go ahead.
something? And from you, I take that as a compliment.
You're welcome.
But from like the show's standpoint, how like everybody gets on everybody, you can't get on Fred for anything.
That's correct. All right, so Fred is the weirdest. Now, why am I the second weirdest?
But that's just the bag thing. Is anything else?
Well, like
Robin is so weird, you're afraid to say that she's the second
Like,
weirdest.
okay, during
Excuse
Best of,
me.
Yeah.
during Best of, Gary played something with an argument with Fred. I don't remember what it was, but he
Yeah,
told
but
me
you're
that
going by on the air.
Yeah,
you're
but
going right
talk
on the
about
air.
yourself, your own experience.
Yeah.
You are afraid to joke around with Fred in the hall.
exactly. All right,
But
one time,
you're just a gun shy guy anyway.
You have no
Anybody
confidence
just
anyway.
looks at you and you're like, oh my God, my eyes are rolling back in my head. I don't know what to do next. Oh my God. It's like you even hyperventilate when you get on the air sometimes.
that's true. But it's
All right, Freddie, would you say that John is a shy guy?
John, stuttering John?
Yeah.
That's when it comes out in his stutter.
But Fred, he's not afraid to say something to anybody, is he?
He should be.
He's afraid to talk to Fred.
He's definitely afraid to talk to Fred.
Well, John, you know, I kid around with him. Maybe I kid around too hard with him.
You can say that again. You're mean.
Well, so are you.
Only to you, because I'm the only guy who can keep you in line.
There you go.
Otherwise, you'd be running around here like Hitler. It's that Germanic background of yours.
Can't help it.
All right, so are you two idiots done?
Go ahead. Who's next? You did only got
Oh.
the Howard and Fred.
I said the next person would be Jackie, and I think Gary and Robin aren't weird at all.
What a bad judge of character you are.
No, I am. I find nothing.
You're a dumb kid. You're going nowhere in life. I'm not convinced of it.
names.
You have no, you know what? You will go nowhere in life.
Thanks.
You are completely oblivious to the world.
He's out of it.
You're out of it.
Wait a minute.
No way.
She's never gone off on you?
I honestly, compared to what the other interns have gone through, I've only got yelled at maybe twice.
That's right.
I saw you
okay.
once get yelled at.
Once or twice, but the thing is, everybody's always told me I've got it so much, I've got it lucky, because I was only here.
Did I ever yell at you?
No. Well, it's on the air.
Have I
yes.
ever said anything bizarre to you?
Bizarre? You haven't said anything bizarre, but you've acted bizarre.
In front of you, I've acted bizarre. Give one
Yeah.
example of when I acted bizarre.
Okay, we were going to the movie screening
All right.
during the summer of that Dolph Lundgren movie.
Dolph
and-
Lundgren, yes.
Lundgren.
Lundgren,
Oh, Dolph Lundgren movie.
yeah.
We was at the movies, and before we went to the movie, I was in the hall with Genji, and I was saying, sometime during the movie, I want to talk to Howard. So you be Howard, and there'd be this one scene when it's coming up. I want to say something good about the movie to him.
All right,
That
so
will
we're going
make
to,
him
so we're
just-
going
Hard to
to,
understand why he's not crazy about Fred.
right.
I went off on
They
that.
come to me about you.
Yeah, please.
All right.
You got it wrong.
Howard, you
They come
didn't-
to somebody about
I am
somebody.
the most normal on the show.
You didn't even mention how Gary.
Let me tell you something, Robin. It's easier to approach the Wizard of Oz than you.
Well, I don't want to be approached.
There you
Thank
go.
you.
You
Yes?
didn't even mention how we used to play a game on Gary. When he would leave his desk, we would just tilt his stapler about
All right, very
2
good.
degrees.
All right, you know what? I'm bored with you, and I'm bored with this discussion.
I can't get my
We've
list.
heard everybody's. You have a list?
Yes.
All right, I got to take a break first. We'll be back right after this, and then I must make our big announcement.
Yes.
We have
a
very good
huge
news.
announcement.
Very big news out of Philadelphia. A couple of big things going on. We'll get to your phone calls right after these words.
It's the Howard Stern Show. Here's Howard.
And it's the best of Stern on this Wednesday morning. I'm Dia Stein, and here it is, the conclusion of the discussion that's been going on all morning. Howard and the gang rating each other for weirdness. It's the best of Stern.
What is it?
I just want to give my list very
Oh,
quickly.
All right.
Okay.
All I know is BabaBooey was talking to me during the commercials. I couldn't even pay attention to what he was saying.
Really?
He drones on. I don't know. He's
I
got
was trying to tell you
stories.
about the faxes. No, I was telling you a story about Jackie, but it's unimportant.
It was boring.
Okay. It's a first place tie between Robin and Fred. I'll tell you why. Fred is because of my fear of the unknown.
Right.
There's a lot of things about him that I don't know. And Robin has definitely improved substantially.
But I know you find Robin the weirdest
I
on the
still
show.
see, in fact, she's improved even the way
weird?
she treats me. But I still see the way you treat other people.
Oh, go away.
Like
Stop
that guy,
observing me
like,
so closely.
like Frank Gannon and others.
Just
stuff like that.
stop observing me so closely.
By the way, based on my private conversations with Gary, I knew that you and Fred would tie for the strangest
Oh,
people
I
on the show.
said right away I wouldn't fare well with
And
you.
I can guess that Gary will say that Jackie is the most normal, but
'Cause he's the bud.
because they can go out and they can drink and stuff. But if Gary really analyzed it, I am the most rational and normal person on the show.
Well, I put you next on the list because I think that you are very easy to communicate with when we're not here and we talk on the phone. You actually are a pretty normal and easy guy to communicate with.
But you don't think I'm normal because I stay at home and things like that.
I do
That's
think
absurd.
I do think that's a little odd.
Well, let me tell you something. It's my pleasure.
It's your pleasure. The real CEO has made a list.
Oh no.
Who is this?
Oh, somebody we can't mention?
Good.
Head muckety muck.
Most normal. He's lying though.
Let me see. What is on that list?
All right, this is from our big boss.
All right.
All right. Most normal is. All right, this is from the guy who owns the company.
Yeah, well, come on and get
I'm
to
going to
it.
mention his name. It's all right. It's Mel, okay?
Okay.
All right. He says, what do you want me to start with, most normal or most abnormal?
Most normal.
Let me start with most abnormal.
Oh, here we go.
He claims the most abnormal is Howard.
Good.
Which is,
This
I wish
man
he would,
is very
I wish he
astute.
would break down one time and come in here and explain that to me. I really would like to hear that.
Well, he once told me that you and I were both difficult, but I don't know what he
But I think he was saying that from a negotiating standpoint.
No, he was saying that from a working with standpoint.
Yeah, he did. I remember that conversation.
That's a lie.
He said you were difficult to deal with when it came to
He has
work.
said to me, I'm one of the easiest people to work with, and then I'll cut off the air and I'll say it's true. I didn't want to say it'll ruin your on-air image.
Well, I'm just telling you, we were sitting in an office, and he said, he was talking to me about something. He said, exclude you and Howard because you're both difficult and you don't realize
I remember
it.
the conversation.
He says Howard is the most abnormal, Robin is next,
Thank you.
Fred is after that, Gary, and then Jackie is the most normal. And I know he doesn't think that. I think he
That's
thinks
not true
Jackie's
at
the.
all.
I think it's just the opposite. Everything here is just the opposite.
You read the list upside down.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. X.
Mr. X. The fans have. I got to take some phone calls because the fans are going nuts from this. But their opinion doesn't count because
They don't know us.
They don't know us.
Howard.
Yes.
Good morning.
By the way, here this guy writes. He votes Fred Norris as the weirdest person on the Howard Stern show.
Very good.
Robin. This guy votes Robin is the weirdest. Her laugh, the big jugs that she doesn't show anyone. She likes all three inputs, and she dated Penn of Penn and Teller.
Oh, well.
Now, that's weird.
Dating Penn would be enough.
This one isn't anything about it. This one says Fred is the weirdest, Stuttering John, second weirdest, Robin third, Howard fourth, Jackie fifth, and Gary is the most normal. That's from Kevin.